And welcome to the show. I am your host, Jeremy Evans, the creator behind the In-Game Boss program with the In-Game Boss podcast. I also go by, the Retro Activist and, of course, the In-Game Boss. And this is our RPG podcast, I guess you can say. This is our role-based podcast. Now, this is actually funny. By the time you listen to this, is actually like our first recording, but it's our third episode. So enjoy that. Let that sink in your head. But I have a person with me, and he's been here since day one of this show when I brought this idea to him. And this is Brian Foster. How you doing, man?
Good evening, or day, or morning, or whatever you are at.
The way you made it sounds like you need that special chair with with the pipe in your mouth
and a mug with coffee in it.
Yeah.
Tea or whatever have you.
Right. No, I just wanted to do a fancy intro. Okay, so basically, if you already listen, is this your first time hearing this episode, or you listen to the other ones? This is an RPG podcast, and we are just want to play RPG games that we personally haven't had a chance to play, and on top of that, some games that didn't receive very well. When I brought this to Brian's attention, it would interest him because there is a bunch of RPG games we talk about, and we play the popular ones, Final Fantasy and all that stuff, but we never really play a lot of the other games. One, they're very hard to find. And
expensive.
Yeah, and that's the other one, expensive. So due to our ways, we found a couple of ways to get our chance to get on some of these games and try them out. And this one is quite a doozy. This is actually my pick of a very bad game, because our rotation is going to be, Brian will pick a game he really haven't played or want to visit again, then my pick, and then a bad game. And this bad game is actually considered one of the worst games on the Super Nintendo. Mm-hmm. And the funny part is, when I went on YouTube to look up a little bit of guidance about that game and whatnot, a lot of people were giving it good positive views of this game, and I'm like, I don't think they played this game.
Those people are weird, because
yeah.
I've seen something entirely different playing this game. So I don't know. They were under some weird embargo where they had to say good things about it. Or what? Because when I played it, it was an entirely different beast. So
yeah, and it's funny too, because this is from Enix before the merge of Square. So for Enix, people know them for Dragon Quest series, right? Yeah. That's the main template of their stuff. Now,
it was Dragon Warrior in
Warrior.
America.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. And so, but this game is called Paladin Quest. It came out in Japan in 1992 and North America in 93. And it actually went by a different name in Japan. I think it was called Linus or Linus, or whatever you want to call it.
It made more sense what it went by in Japan, because there's no paladins in this game. And
no, there's not.
It doesn't make no sense.
I think the planet is actually called Linus, if I'm correct. I think that's the name of the planet.
Either the planet or that little town that you're in the beginning. I don't remember which.
Yeah, give or take. But it definitely takes place in the game itself.
Yeah.
And so, so I picked this game for that very reason, the fact that this game was terrible. I wanted to try it. And it's quite a doozy there, So basically, we're going to set this up as going through story. We're also going to talk about the characters, battles, progression, grind, and all that stuff. So first things first, I want to ask Brian, how many hours did you put into this game with the minimum of 5 hours?
I put 4 hours, 59 minutes, 59 seconds.
Right on the dot,
That was a slog. I made sure I didn't put 5 hours in. Just right a second later. It took me a second to turn off the timer, and I was done with the game. But pretty much 5 hours, if you want to put it like that.
I put about, I think I wrote down 10 hours.
And you are a trooper.
So, yeah. It's interesting about this game, and before we go into more details, it's definitely unique in its own way, and it took a risky idea, but sadly enough, in my opinion, it did not pay off very well.
It did not. I see what you're saying with the risky idea, but that doesn't make it a good one.
No, it's almost like it almost kind of feels like it made sense in their view, but as a gamer, it doesn't make sense in that kind of way, especially if this is your first RPG game you happen to play, maybe that's a different world for you, and maybe that might have turned you off on RPG games. I do not like RPG games.
Oh, yeah. I would turn me off. I'll tell you that much.
Right. And so So let's talk about the basically the story of Paladin Quest. As Brian says, there's not really paladins in this story or anything about that, but it does start in the town or the planet of Linus, and the information I got from the game, which one of the things that definitely stand out about this game is the miscommunication of the text. It was really hard to understand, not so much of the people conversation, but more in your box of materials and stuff, items, all that stuff. It was so abbreviated in so many different ways. It was hard to kind of put two and two together sometimes. You have to really think hard about it.
You didn't know what certain things did, and I swear to you, there was not a system in there that would tell you what it does. General RPGs will be like, this is a thorough leaf, which gives you health. It doesn't do that in this game. It's like, I use something called orbital something.
Yeah.
Orbital something sounds like a freaking wind spell that I'm about to destroy somebody with. Come to find out, that's the healing powder.
Yeah. And we'll get into that for the battle. But the story is basically pretty simple. You play this boy named Chesney. And he goes to a magic school, which basically Harry Potter in space. Or I guess in some sort of way, but he goes to this
something like that, yeah.
But basically, like, to me, it feels like it's a whole academy. Basically, it's not really a town; it's really just like a giant academy that this kid goes into.
Yeah,
and basically, it starts out where he just finished school, and during a conversation, he gets dared to go visit this forbidden temple place that's literally like next door to the academy, right? In this aspect of the game, right?
He gets peer pressured by people that are mad at him because he's a savant and using magic or whatever. They're like, just because you're good at magic, I bet you won't go in the tower or whatever at night, like some freaking 2-year-olds. But they're supposed to be in their teenagers. Like, he's 13.
Yes, he
is. I'm
is.
assuming everybody else is, close to that age or something, but they're treating them like they're 6 and 7 or 8. And it's ridiculous, but whatever. The story is set aside. They want him to go to some tower. I guess that's a spooky tower or whatever. And so him and some what is that little kid's name?
Okay, the name
Duke?
of the little kid is Duke. Mm-hmm. He is. It's funny because his Chesney, he is considered called a Lefurry. That's his name. That's the name of his race or his kind.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
Duke,
different species.
And Duke is a Sinnoh. He's basically a fairy-looking kind of little guy.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, and he's 13 too. Weirdly enough, and so they get there to go to this tower, and they make their way to the tower, and they end up unleashing this
machine called Del Ran or something?
Yeah, around that time, give or take. It's basically almost like, I'm not comparing to Chrono Trigger, but to the point where you have this incredibly dangerous monster that's been locked up and it should not be released, and that's what happened here. So much that the kid destroyed. I mean, he let that beast come in and destroyed the whole academy and everything like that.
Wait, but not before Duke runs off on you.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Punk.
That's right. Yeah,
he ran. So he left me to fight this machine by myself, and no matter what you did 1 HP. But we'll get to that point when we get to the battle.
Yeah.
But basically, you go and you fight this thing. Well, it's not really much of a fight. It should have been a cutscene. And then he destroys your face and destroys the whole town. But somehow, miraculously, you survive because you have plot armor. But whatever.
Yeah. So, but with that, it's you alone in this place. And then I guess like this random guy comes up. He's one of the, I guess he came upon, seeing the disaster and everything like that. And, he's like, you did this. Now you have to go clean it up. Worst day to have a kid have that responsibility, right?
Yeah.
Right. And actually,
he lets you out of the town.
Right. And just the fact that it kind of doesn't make sense to me at that point. Because it's like, look, I know I'm responsible for this. But at the same time, I'm 13 years old. Like, I'm pretty sure there's people out here in the land that are way more powerful than me. They can help lock this thing up. But, oh, well, I'll go on this quest.
Well, there's some lady in the town right over that the headmaster of the whole college or whatever actually goes to for secret training. And if you talk to one of the people before you fight the deal, they'll tell you that. It's like,
oh, okay.
It's like, the Grand Master runs off and trains with this one person and all this other stuff. So, yeah, they have people that can handle this, but they want you to do it, you little 13-year-old punk, because you unleashed it. So, that's pretty much how it is.
So, one thing, before we continue on the story, there was a couple things I did in the game that kind of cracked me up. One, I wanted to break the traditional way of RPGs when they give you multiple choice, but you don't really have a multiple choice. The yes and no, right? Like the yes and no thing. Like in any JRPG game in the Super Nintendo, they always give you this choice of like, hey, do you want to go on this venture? Or hey, you want to go with me? And basically, if you say no,
then the game
it's going to
start.
The game ends, or they just pester you until you say yes. Like they will not let you move. It's like, no, I know you're just kidding. Come on, man. No. Come on, man. I know you're just kidding. Come on. No, come on. The only reason I said that, Brian, is because that's what happened to me. I did it. I just took a chance. Like, no. I said, I don't want to go. And so he runs off. And so I leave the classroom. I go to the next classroom. And when I'm about to leave the classroom, he comes right in front of my face.
Yes. I did that too. I did that too.
And I said no every single time. I said no. I didn't even say yes until I left the place. And then I started walking around. And a guy came up to me. Or I ran to a guy and he's like, hey, Duke's looking for you.
Yeah, and I think he was at the tower at that time.
Yeah, he's like, hey, Duke's looking for you, man. You know? And so I walked all the way around, and then I finally said yes. And another thing that stand out is in old RPG games, it was pretty easy to know what areas that you can pick to see their items in this game. You know, like in drawers and stuff like that. But this game, it's tough.
Yeah, the art style in this game is weird for one. It looks like
it's pretty ugly.
A bunch of pastel cut crayons got blown up all over the place.
Yeah, it's pretty ugly.
It doesn't separate, like the background and the foreground is actually hard to differentiate. So, like, you can run up on something, you think it's background when actually it's an item case or something like that, because I missed that a few times. And I was like, okay. I didn't even know there was an item right there. I thought that was just part of the foreground or the background or whatever. So, yeah, I did that a bunch of times.
Yeah, it made me. It's so weird because like I wish they did a good job of making it more of a clue of hey, you can check in here instead of like I guess I'll do that because if I didn't play a bunch of RPG games, I wouldn't think of doing that because if you play a lot of RPG games, you kind of already have that muscle memory of like just look into stuff. Drawers, cabinets, all that. But a new person going into this game, like, they would know. They would think they just walk out.
Yeah, we're like, well, we're done here.
Yeah, so...
Or not to talk to everybody.
Yeah, so, basically, the funny part about this game, too, is the fact that I wish I got to see what the world looked like before the disaster. Because walking out of that academy, that's the norm for me. So, I don't know what that monster did to terrorize the land or what the hell he did. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I just don't know. And so, but during my 10 hours, you know, I have gone through, you know, another town where I started learning more magic there, and we'll get to that, to the point where I went through a forest, then I got flown to another mountain to fight a being, to the last thing I got to was a town that was about to die with lava. Like, lava was covering this whole land, and it was about to, you know, destroy everything. But the thing that was tough for me about this game and the story itself was the fact that I wasn't interested to hear what anybody had to say. I just didn't care. Like,
and that makes for a bad game.
Yeah.
Especially an RPG, which is usually surrounded by the whole story. Like, the story is basically what keeps you going.
Yeah. And I think it's tough, too, that there's no clues of where you need to go. It's tough.
That's the old school RPG formula though. Like most old school RPGs, you had no clue where to go. Like newer ones, at least they would tell you, but newer ones are voiced, so you know everybody's talking, but they don't tell you where to go or what to do or anything like that. And that's the curse of the old generations. Like regular games, say like Rambo, like the old Rambo game wouldn't even tell you where to go. You had to just figure it out or call up Game Pro, because back in the days, little kiddies, you actually had a phone number that you can call and these people would give you information, unlike Google nowadays or whatever. But old school RPGs were like that. Like they didn't tell you where to go, you just had to figure it out, and that was pretty annoying. And yes, it did the same thing to me. I didn't know where to go for first 2 hours of the playing. Like I said, my experience with this game is very different from you.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting when we break it down a little bit more, but I think this one did it really worse than some RPG games, because for some reason they like NPCs to give you kind of riddles. They like giving you a clue, but they don't give you the full clue. Like, if I were you, I would go check our headmaster. Oh, hey, if I were you, I would, you know, try the forest into the, you know, the west side of the thing. Here, it was more of, I feel like I had to put two and two together myself to like, oh, okay, I guess I'll go down this way and see what happens, because if I go over here, I die. And that's another thing, too, about this game, where it's more of, if I know I'm in the wrong area, they crush that idea of if you're in the wrong area and you're dying in 2 seconds, I shouldn't be there yet. I need to go this way, per se. But that
they did that to me. But unlike you figured it out a lot faster than I did. I spent a good hour getting my ass kicked by I don't know who. Just something that started hitting me for you start out with 120. I think that's your max.
Yes.
And I went to something and there was 3 of them and they all hit me for 49. So that's pretty much 3 hits and you're almost dead.
Yeah. So for the people that this, if you guys want to take a chance on this game, which, maybe it'll be a learning experience for you, but just the fact that the story is nothing special. Let's get that out of the way. I mean, it's one of those you're destined to save the world due to your, you messing up. You did this, so you have to go deal with it. So you made your own destiny. kind of
basically. You're the chosen one.
But they don't give you a chance. They really almost feel like they don't give you a fighting chance at the very beginning. They really try to hit the ground running for you. And I wasn't a big fan of that because unlike you, you got lost, and when I don't want to get lost in this game because there's consequences if you get lost in this game.
Oh, big ones.
And this is, and they push up the random encounters. You're good. They ramped up the random encounters. Like maybe it's I want to say it's every 2 or 3 steps, maybe 5 before someone runs into you.
Yeah, about 5 steps.
And it's bad that you have to kind of concentrate. Okay, can I make it here without being attacked? Okay.
Probably not.
No.
But there's a whole other battle choice that these people made that we would get into when we get to the battle portion that makes that even worse.
Yeah. So let's talk about the characters here. So none of these characters stand out in their own way. No. Not at all. But it is kind of cool that in their own way you got to see what the character looks like through the not animation but the artwork. If you look up their status, aka strength on their menu,
that give you a quote usually. One guy wants to be the Chesney wants to be some word that I don't even know. It is some word that they made up, and then Duke wants to do something, and then the one guy you get down and to the right, he's talking about I'm great with arrows or something.
Fritz,
yeah,
Fritz.
And then Meridia, what is her name?
Her name is. Let me see here. I don't know. No, but she's actually one of your main characters because Duke is nothing. He dies within the first game. Sorry, spoiler, but I mean it's in the first 5 seconds of the game. He dies.
Yeah, I mean the credits had to even start. You remember the games they'd start. And then you play a little bit, and then they'd be like, welcome to the world of this game. I know Assassin's Creed does it. You play a whole prologue, and then it say Assassin's Creed. So, yeah, Duke's pretty much gone before Paladin's quest comes across the screen.
Yeah.
So, it's not really a spoiler if you want to look at it like that.
But I did notice that in this game that you're really almost max only 2 people with a third rotating chair.
Yeah.
Because you have Fritz. Fritz is there for a little bit. Then I get... this bird guy that joins me for a little bit, then he leaves.
Did not make it that far.
And then it gets hilarious. So and then I get a lizard person that joins me. You can even hire a mercenary.
Really?
Yeah, you can hire a mercenary to join your group. Wish that was told me at the very beginning because I would have. If I ever want to play this game again, I go to the second town again and found out that there were mercenaries I could have hired. Maybe this would have been easier because. In this whole game, I have never maxed out the 4. There's 4 slots. I have never maxed out the 4. Only 3. Only 3 the whole time. And the only person that actually was the coolest to me was Fritz, only because Fritz was the only person that honestly, and we'll talk about soon, that couldn't hurt himself. He's the only one that actually had a weapon that did some jobs because even at your beginning, you really only have little knives and stuff. He was the only one that actually had a weapon that actually could do effect on something. You know?
Well, you could probably grind a little bit and buy a weapon from the
that's true.
First town over. But
that's true.
Yeah, that's another thing we get into.
Yeah, but based on the main characters, they're not doing anything special. Not even their artwork. I know that Dragon Quest doesn't have very iconic character names that you would probably remember. They're mostly pronounced like heroes, basically. But at least their art design is memorable, even though it's from, Akira Toriyama from Dragon Ball that did the artwork for that. But this game particularly, none of the characters really just didn't look cool at all to me. They were very generic looking.
No, they didn't. I don't know who did the artwork, but he was phoning it in on this game.
Yeah, it almost feels like, and while I was playing it, I felt like that this was a project that this guy really wanted to do, and they gave him a chance. And I don't think.
And now they're mad at him.
Yeah, or he's not there anymore. I don't know, man.
Like, hey, the game came out, and start packing your stuff, buddy.
Right.
I mean, that's what I can think of, because it was. I don't know. I don't know how well I guess the game did in the reviews. Like you said, you read some reviews and they were good. Which,
well, no, those were the people that watched the YouTube video. Their comments were people probably being positive about it and stuff like that.
But the actual straight up reviews, like I can't see that this game did well. I cannot. I mean, if it did, I don't know. We're living in an alternate universe, and Dale Ren has destroyed our planet too.
Yeah,
and we're in the Matrix.
But so far, just the game itself, the stories and characters right now that we're talking about are very generic. They're very
forgettable.
Very forgettable. So take that in mind if you ever just decide to play this game. But let's take a break, and when we come back, we're gonna get to the most important part of our show and RPGs alone, the battle system. We'll be right back. And welcome back. I am Jeremy. This is Brian. Let's get right back into this. I want to start with a quote. This quote that I'm about to say represents the battle system in this game whatsoever. And this is quoted by Guard, Gudd, which he is a beard goat human, by the way. And you can't really notice it until like at the beginning. You'll start seeing these swirls around his ears. That's the goat. That's his goat horns, basically. I don't know if you saw that or not, Brian. Like,
I don't think I did, but I remember the quote, and that's what stood out more than anything else.
Yeah. So, one of the things I want to do on the show, definitely, and hopefully for the first two ones that you hear, I want to read. Like, if I see a quote that's funny in the game, I want to to say it in the show. That'd be pretty funny. But this is his quote: "MP ? There is no such thing as MP on Linus. We have only HP. You sound like an idiot! ! Where did you hear such superstition nonsense? Your own HP are used to cast magic." So when you're playing this game, even at the very beginning, is first of all, when you first play the game, it is a straight, just a straight screen of your enemies. You don't have your enemies down below or anything like. It's just a bunch of boxes and everything. It's really old school, kind of like the old school dungeon kind of crawling kind of style.
Just like Dragon Warrior, Dragon Quest, whichever one you play.
Right.
They don't show your characters at all. It's just the enemy, and they do a little movement, and then you see that you take damage, or there's a little box that shows your name and your health, because again, like you said, there's no MP, but your box will glow, and then it will hit the enemy, so it lets you know who's hitting what enemy or whatever. But
let's talk about the before we talk about the hook of the game. How do you feel? What's your opinion on the choice based? It's basically a D-pad grid, so you're picking based on your D-pad what moves are which.
I actually like that. It felt, I don't know, a little bit faster than actually picking and selecting what you wanted to do. I felt like that you push up or down, like you had, this is kind of funny because you could attack with nearly any body part. Like I actually headbutted the guy, so I thought that was kind of funny. But you can attack with your head, you can attack with your feet, you can attack with a weapon, and in the uniform, which I don't know. I guess you took off your clothes and threw it at a guy, but I don't understand. But you basically push up, down, left to right, and then push right to select. And right to confirm that that's what you wanted to do. And I thought that was kind of like fast, I guess you would want to, because you want the battle to be not just so slow where you're about to fall asleep trying to pick what move you want to do next. But I found that part of the battle good. And that's probably the last bit of good news I'm saying about the battle system.
Did you like that they reconfirm it? Like, after you pick all your moves, they have, like, boxes telling you, you did this, you want to attack this, and this, and this?
That's the least they could do. What do you mean, like that? They better have done that.
I think that... I think it's good that it was simple. The hard part is it was hard to tell
what was what because of the
what was what, but also too what happens to you. Like, sometimes they'll do a move just to do a move, and you don't know what it is until you find out. Like, okay, so is my defense down because all of a sudden they can hit me harder, or you know what I mean?
What do you mean, like status effects?
Yeah, like you don't really see status effects from them hitting you really per se, and when you do it to them, you're not really seeing it either. Like, they're not glowing a different color or anything like that.
Like you do something that drops their defense or whatever. You don't know. You just gotta hope.
Yeah.
I guess it's like a template for good RPGs, it seems like. They wanted to do the debilitations, the debuffs, and the buffs, but they didn't know how to implement it into the game, so it was weird. So the only way you knew that you were dropping somebody's defense is if you knew you were doing it. If you're new to the game, like we were, sorry.
Yeah, and this is where it hurts the game with abbreviation things, right? Because if you go to your menu and stuff, which the menu for your game is terrible. Like basically, I'll tell you one thing I had to do for the gameplay. I had to actually go in the options and change some buttons around because the fact that too many buttons were the other way around. Like, the button I wanted to do to go in was out. I know in Japan, like, you know, basically in their world, B would be the entering, A would be the exit se.
Yeah, it's like the old the Nintendo. Like, B is the first button, and then A is the second button. Now, if you're a PlayStation guy, then it's opposite. X is the button that confirms, while it's in the spot of where B would be, and then A is where you confirm on the Nintendo, but that's the spot where O would be, and the O is to say no. So if you're switching from Xbox to Nintendo, then it flips which button is to confirm and which button isn't. So that's what threw me off the first time, because you say when we were in the story mode, when we were talking about the Duke guy, and he kept running away.
Yeah.
And he kept running away. He was doing that, and I was pressing the wrong button.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why he did it for me. I wasn't trying to do it. It just, I thought I was pushing the right button because I just came from playing some PS freaking 4 games. So I kept pressing X, thinking I was pressing yes, and he'd run away and be like, "Oh, you're gonna do it."
Yeah.
But it was more of an accident than an actual thing.
Yeah, but it's cool that the option really let you customize your button layout. If you ever checked out your options, like
I did not.
Yeah, like every button can change from start, everything.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so that's what I had to do.
Okay, well, there's another positive for this game.
Yeah.
That's about it's not there's not gonna be too many more of these.
But even when you even go in the menu, before we talk about the hook of the battle system, is one of the things about the menu that was really annoying is when it comes to equipping items, you can't pick a particular item. You have to go to a list. You like when you equip, they're like helmet, armor, boots. Yeah. Like, you can't pick which one you want. You have to go down the line, as they're saying. And also, too, the last abbreviations are tough. Like, SH is shield, BT is boot. Which was probably one of the easier ones. But, like, knowing what a sword...
Did you figure out what LN meant?
LN?
Because I think that's the weapon that Chesney has.
No, I don't know. Maybe Lance? I don't know. I'll tell you what I didn't get. The home door? Like, what's home door and floor? I don't know what that is.
I think that's the one that takes you out of the dungeon real fast or something.
I did not know.
Sure. I'm not sure. I think it was, because I want to say I did that. But
okay.
It was an accident. Obviously, it was an accident, because I don't know what the freaking thing meant.
Yeah, and the reason I say that, because that brings you over to when you're picking your moves that you want to do to the enemy. Like, you have to be sure what you want in your left hand and what you want in your right hand when it comes to the weapons that you want to use. And that's the tough part, because when I played this game, it was so weird that I don't want to use magic in this game. I go to a magic school to learn magic, but I don't want to learn magic. I rely on my weapons more. And the reason why is because magic affects you in this game. To you. And the fact that the line, this is going to hurt me, this is going to hurt you, comes into full fruition when you play this game, right? Yeah, so you use the magic that you use not only hurts them, but it hurts you.
It hurts you.
Yeah. So
magic uses HP.
Yeah. HP for everything.
If you don't know, is hit points or life points or whatever. When you take a hit, you lose HP. When you use magic, you lose HP.
Yeah.
Who thought this was a good idea?
I guess to them.
And what's sad is that magic does the most damage to enemies. So basically it comes down to this. You start a battle. You have to figure out if you want to hit an enemy with something and have them attack you twice, or you want to hit them with magic, take more of your health, and kill them usually in one hit. It's a dilemma. Also, there is no healing magic, obviously, because you can't heal yourself and use HP to do that.
There is a spell called heal, but it does not do what you think it does. It clears up your poison and all that stuff, but it should be called restore or something, not called healed. But that's a spell called healed. No, you have a belt that you use your potions in, and you buy a max of those of 9. Mm-hmm. And that's what you use through the whole time.
What's good about the potions, at least when I played it, was they really heal you pretty good. Like,
they have to, right?
Yeah,
it's 300.
They heal you for a whole huge amount.
Yeah, it's 300. I found out because when I got to level, which I ended this game at level 17. Jesus. And my HP was about 569, and then that's when I started noticing that it takes about 300, because at the beginning you're only at 100, and probably by the time you were done, Brian, you probably didn't even crack 300.
I was like level 7.
Yeah, so that's when I finally learned, like, okay, I thought so too. I thought the magic just fills you up no matter what. So I thought that was kind of cool. Like, hey, I give you 700, heal, fill me 700, awesome. Yep. That's not the case. It's only 300.
Oh,
and so
it gets worse.
Yeah. So basically, you're leveling up to really survive your magic. That's basically what you're doing.
Basically, yes.
And then on top of that, the level progression is not traditionally where you level up and you learn a new magic. You have to go to a person that will bestow you more magic.
Yes. Also, to level up like your certain spells, like Divinity for fire, I guess, you have to use more magic. So the more you use one of your spells, the more it'll level up. But as we told you earlier, the more you use spells, the more HP you lose, which is your hit points, which is your life points. So you need a whole lot of potions to level up your magic, which does the most damage of anything you have.
Yeah.
And where is the problem that you see in this whole thing? It's killing me.
It is interesting that the fact that your character is fire base, and you're not really learning other magic. Like, I think by the time I got to 17, the only magic he really learned was fire, and then he learned freeze. But
you can learn freeze early though, because I had freeze and
you did have freeze early.
Yeah, I had it.
Freeze didn't work for me when I did it. Like,
it did absolutely jack.
Like the problem is, like, I didn't see what it did, and I'm not seeing the effect that it did. You know what I mean? Fire is pretty. They make it really. Like, it looks like Fry Guy from Mario 2.
Yeah, so and then he brings all his cousins with him.
Yeah, yeah. But the freeze, it's almost like just like a little snow on them, and then it doesn't really do anything.
I don't think it did anything. It put some snow on him, and then he attacked me. I thought the animation for him attacking was him getting frozen. No, he attacked me, and then I see my health went down some more. I was like, wait a minute. What just happened? It didn't do anything. It might have pissed him off. I think that's all it did.
Yeah, and then when I got the girl, she is specialty in lightning. You didn't get the girl yet, did you?
Well, Marta, I got her, but I didn't. It was not too much longer before the 459.
Yeah, because she was in the next town. She was the village daughter, the head leader's daughter, and you had to. Yeah, she joins you. Yeah, if you take her in there, she learns lightning, and she only knows single attack lightning, and she's basically your healer and all this stuff. But honestly, to me, she was just another person that carried more potions to take care of moi.
Basically.
She's basically my life source right there.
It's just more ways to heal yourself in between turns, because if you're fighting, I think one of the last battles I did was some hedgehogs and 2 of these big one-arm things that did like
the one with the hairy, the Kongs. They're called Kongs. Yeah.
And then the hedgehog shot, like, their animation was to shoot out a big spiral of deals. I fought two of the big hairy things and then 3 of the little ones. That's 5 turns that they get to destroy my whole team.
Yes.
And Yeah.
And even at the very beginning, like there was I guess like a little fox kind of creature. He can kick your ass too a little bit.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It looked like it was a rat.
A rat, that's what it is. Yeah, rat. And then you had this one floating little creature.
Some pod. It was pod.
Yeah. Those are the ones you normally see if you decide to like kind of stay there for a little bit to try to level up the best you can. But it is so tough because at that time too, it was hard to make money. Because I would love to do the whole go sleep at the inn and then go back out and fight and go back sleep at the inn. But you didn't make enough money there at the time to really do that.
2 or 3 gold.
Yeah, and it's not worth it.
Experience was pretty low too. It was like 2 or 3 experience, and it was like 15 and 20 to go to the next level. I mean, the only reason why I even got to level 7 was mainly because I started kind of grinding. Because I'm a grinder. I go into RPGs, I grind. I want to get to the first boss and touch him with my hilt and watch him die. But
yeah.
This one was such a grind. It was bad.
So, but let me ask you this: on how long did it? First of all, did you ever got a game over? And second,
yes.
Okay, so you got a game
quickly,
over.
Actually.
Okay, and what? How did it make you feel to the fact that how much did the magic really affect you? Now, maybe people that are listening to it are like, okay, all right, so it takes a little bit of HP from you, but that shouldn't be that big of a deal. But it does. It is a big deal because they do take a bit of a chunk of your life. It's not like 1 point.
Yeah.
So
let's put it in terms like this. Okay, so you got 100 points, 100 HP. You use magic, and magic, I swear, it cost me about 20 each time.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're at 80. You're fighting 3 different things. Just you, because at the very beginning, it's just you before you find Fritz and all these other people. So you're fighting 3 things. You use your HP, or you use magic. You kill one of them. Now the next one attacks you. He does 20. Then the one after that attacks you. He does 20. Now, what are you at, 60 now? Now you're at 60. That's where the problem comes in. So now you just attack them regularly because you don't want to use so much magic. So you attack them, you only do like 6.
And I also forgot to mention, I wrote in my notes, is the magic that you have to go get, it actually costs you. You have to pay, to learn more magic.
It's like 20 gold too.
And that kind of sucks. And
no, it was 10.
And I kind of wish there was a way where they had a church in the game where it just heals all your stuff, because most traditional RPG games have a church where they can just heal you up and then you can go out and play. I wish they did that instead, because let's be honest here. In RPG games, I rarely go to an inn. You know, I either just get enough potions or I use a tent or something out in the opening or something like that. But this game really makes me want to go to the inn, which I did later on. I went to an inn, a couple of inns.
Now, that's one place where you inns usually have another person next to them that saves your game. So I mean, you have to.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'd be like me for the first hour. I think the first hour I just kept dying and starting it all the way over. And
it sucks because like you shouldn't be. It's not a strategy game, so it sucks that you have to sit there and contemplate like, is this worth it? Is it worth?
That's like, I mean, that could be like the question of the game. Is this worth it? Is it worth it for me to try to run away and possibly get hit by every creature? Or is it worth it for me to use magic on one of them, lose 20, now I'm going to lose 40 because he's going to hit me right after? Or should I try to just hit him regularly, knowing I'm not going to kill him in one hit, and now lose 60 because they're all going to attack me? I mean, you see where I'm going. It's a what if.
I think it would have been better if I got my weapons early, because I'm going to tell you what, by the time I hit level 17, I finally found armor. I was with my uniform the whole time. Jeez. I had never found better armor stuff, or I didn't have the money to do it. But Fritz was the saving grace to get me to keep going, actually, because the reason why is Fritz didn't need to use magic. Yeah. He was powerful enough with his bow to help do the work.
Yeah, Fritz's bow started out doing 38, which was actually more than my big fire spell.
Yes.
There's another fire spell that you must get. It's Fire S, and you had Fire G, I think it's called.
Yeah, so
Fire S is strong fire, I want to say.
No, that's not it at all.
And then Fire G was the one that attacked an entire row.
See, I thought so too, but no, it means single group. That's what it means. Because one fire goes after a single person, the other one does a group. Now, one thing I hate about that is the group system. So when you play traditional RPG games and you do an all attack, it mostly attacks anything that's in your face, right? Here, they're in groups. You can have a screen full of enemies, but they're in groups. You can have literally 5 different groups in there. And they got 2 in one batch, 3 in one batch, and like 2 flying. If you remember at the beginning, like you have 1 flying on the ground and 1 on the ground. Do you go after the flying one or do you go after the ground one? If there's 6 ground people, there's a group of 3 and a group of 3. I remember this because before I ended my session for the time I had a bunch of worms. There were 4 groups of 3. And instead of an all attack, I had to attack 1 group at a time. And I didn't do that. I ran away. I was like, I'm not going to waste my time on this trying to go after every single group. And actually, the runaway is not the worst, but it's freaking hilarious when you turn and all the enemies somehow get like, where you going? I'm running this way. Where you going? That was funny. But yeah, it would have been different if you can do everything in your face instead of individual groups, and that it does suck that way. It's more work than it should be. But like I said, Fritz was the saving grace because Fritz can do the job. Also, too, I don't know if you noticed this, but when I was in the cave, I started noticing later on, and maybe this was just my stroke of bad luck, but I had to rearrange my characters around because most of the enemies would fight whoever's in the first box of my thing.
Yep, that's
so.
Cool.
So I made the main character in the middle and put Fritz because Fritz was the strongest one. So Fritz was my basically my saving wall, so I can cast magic. And then I had the girl heal me because it sucks that if it's already bad enough that the fire can hurt you as you're casting it. It sucks that you have to waste a turn to heal yourself and then get back into the flow because they can still hit you even harder.
and then do the same amount of damage you just really healed for.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
It's so counterintuitive. They didn't think this through. Like, I know they probably wanted to be different with the whole HP for MP thing, but it's no way to implement this right. I can't, unless the magic really didn't take that much MP, like 2 or 3, but it's taking like 20, while enemies are hitting you for 20.
And it would be a little bit better if the other character's magic did some effect too, because the girl's her lightning really did nothing, and it sucks too because it's single. Like, I feel like for this game, it's almost like group attack or nothing. Like,
basically, yeah.
Like if I'm gonna waste this, I'm gonna go big, not waste on a small scale. You know what I mean?
It's like that in nearly every RPG. Like, I mean, if you're fighting any group of anybody there, why would you ever use a single attack unless you know it's going to kill at least that strongest one?
Or the enemies are both special in their own way. Like one is resistant to the other or whatnot. But fire almost works everything in this game. Like, there's never been an enemy where he's resisted to fire.
Well, that's because you can't change your freaking magic.
Yeah.
They don't give you much of a variety, I guess you could say.
Yeah. But even though on top of that, the most challenging fight that almost broke the camel's back for me, I did this fight 3 times and I got lucky on the 3rd one.
The guy in the cave.
No,
I had to get Fritz. That's where. Yeah,
okay. Well, tell me your experience on that one. I'll tell you my experience one.
I died a bunch.
Did you win?
No.
Okay. So if I'm correct, it was a 4-legged creature. Was it?
It looked.
It was a weird looking.
I swear it looked like a dragon.
Might have been a dragon. And he has the ability too. And that's another thing too. And I'm not trying to go over the place, but some of these enemies don't have. I swear every enemy has a decision that they can just do a group attack with no problem.
Yes.
Like, no problem.
50. He was doing 50 every time he hit me. I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah. Like it was tough to really tell. It almost like they got the right to do anything while we're here with the most struggling. And I hate that enemies. Like, I understand, like, if they have a magic, the rose by another name kind of thing, like, hey, it's a fire move, but it's a more powerful move. I'll never get that type of fire. I get it. But if you're doing a move that I can't even get close of being like, then it's not fair. Especially like the horn trolls. When they stick out their horns and then they do that twirl back and forth and attack. Yeah. And they get this super whammy extra hit all of a sudden. I'm like, where did this come from? Because you get hit by a group attack sucks so bad in this game. Sucks so bad. But when you're fighting that lizard creature, I had to use Frizz as my shield. And so I just start weighing fire and fire and fire on that thing all the time. And the boost don't do nothing. His Fritz special is not cool. Like, he has this thing where he puts his defense up. Because I know, because the little fairy comes across and twirls around. And you're like, Defense up. And then the haste. There's a haste spell. Stupid.
It doesn't even do anything.
I don't understand why it makes sense in the game to me in the first place. It's supposed to, I guess, make your turn go first faster than his, but it doesn't do anything because like he's still his agility or something has to be higher than mine for him to still go ahead of me even when I have the haste up. And it was really annoying. But the fight that hurt me was after I was done with Fritz, which I missed him so much when I left. I was like, I don't know if I can go on without you, Fritz. You were my savior. And I don't know why Fritz wanted to go home. His house was tore up. But I had to go back to the village, restore that. Then I went to the area across the bridge. And it got a little easier from there a little bit because I got a little bit more powerful and whatnot. But it was when I was in this village, there were all like birds on a wire. So like the village all lived in these houses in the sky on wires stuff. Don't ask me why. That's a weird idea. But so this bird person escorts me and we fly with him with me holding his legs and we fly off to this other mountain and whatnot. And one of the things that really suck about this game, and a lot of RPGs does it where it's a puzzle in itself. So like, for this game, a bridge broke down. So I have to go somewhere else and, find the tools to go fix the bridge. But it sucks because, you're getting attacked on the way there. And these battles are not short. They're not short at all. So like, it's almost to your mind of like, do I really want to waste the effort on these fights? But you got to level up, right? But anyways, so I got to this fight and this bird creature, by the way, the bird's creature is named Tiger. And I'm like, why the hell you named Tiger? You're a bird.
Bird named Tiger.
Yeah, his name is Tiger. And I was like, okay, whatever, man. So once again, your third chairperson to me is always going to be your shield to me. Like he's basically, because he mostly has the most HP. So you really use him to help guard you the best he can. But he said he's weak against fire. Duh. And he said no other attack will work on him. Well, sadly enough, I'm the only one that can use fire. So let me tell you what happened on the second round that almost broke the camel's back. I died, and I don't know how to bring myself back to life. And that's the thing too, Brian. Like I never experienced this because most of the time when you die in this game, it's game over regardless. Like you're not the first one to die. You either die with the group or not. You know what I mean? But in this game, two of my other people are alive. I don't know how to bring myself back. I can't tell the difference on the spells or the items that I have that would bring me back. So I have two people that can't cast fire against this creature that's weak against fire. So I'm sitting here and the attacks are so weak, Brian. The attacks are hitting like 1 or 2. Literally 1 and 2. So basically the point was like I had to get those two to keep me alive the whole time. And so I'm shooting this fire. I'm not getting strong enough and everything like that. And then I hit this winning blow and I beat it on my third try.
Oh, wow. And you did this without the fire?
No, I did it with the fire.
Oh, okay.
But they had to keep me alive. No, the other two had to keep me alive this time on my third try.
Yeah, okay.
So I made sure like the girl, she did nothing but throw items at me. That's all I had her. She doesn't do nothing else. And the guy, he didn't have nothing. Like we couldn't get him items or anything like that. The reason why we couldn't get him items because immediately he joined the group, we flew off. So I couldn't go to a shop and get him plenished or get him set up. We just went, and that sucks. And I hate games that do that. Like, let's go. Like, well, can we be prepared to go? Like, what happened to? Hey, come back to me when you're ready to go. Like,
I swear I just played an RPG, but it was recent where it was like, are you ready to go? Are you ready to do this? Are you ready? It wasn't even an RPG. It was just a regular game. But that's because of games like Paladin's Quest exists, why this dame did not do that.
Yeah, so
hopefully.
So after I finally beat that creature with the fire, the best of my way, which I think I should have grinded a little bit more for going into there, but I thought that Tiger might have been some influence to that, which don't rely on the third person, except for Fritz. Fritz is a G. Everybody else I play with are not good. They're not good. But it got easier from there because it gave me a chance to really grind. And actually, they were giving me level ups really quick when I finally finished with Tiger and started kind of traveling around and whatnot. And I got more money. By the time I finished the game, I was sitting on $3,000. Which I know, right? That I shouldn't be happy for $3,000.
Considering you're getting like 2 gold every time you fight something.
Right.
Yeah,
but no, they do give you more money as you progress a little bit further into the game. And as I was still traveling around. The last place was this cave, and in this cave, it brought me down to this town, which also too, you can use items in this game, but it doesn't really give you a hint to use the items. So, for instance, there's a bridge that breaks out, and you have to go to your items to go to tool to use it, instead of someone maybe suggesting that might have helped you out. I wouldn't. I had to really just sit there for a minute and think about, okay, well, we got this item. What does it do, I guess? So I tried to use that item to make it work for that situation. But also, too, also in the item box that is annoying was the fact that when you decide what you want to do in the box, it closes off immediately. Like, if I want to look at status of the main character, great. After I'm done with him, it shuts off. I have to open it again and say, hey, now I want to look at her, instead of box and then scroll who I want to look at status. Most RPG games do that, where, you know, they bring you a status box like, who do you want to look at? This one is like, who do you want? Got it. Cool. Get out. You know, like it's almost like they're making me not want to go in the box. They're trying really hard not to make me go in this small box to look at all my stuff. And the abbreviations, like their status is called strengths, which that was a weird one. They have your item box is confusing to the point where, like, you personally can't carry your own. You have a bag, but this bag has a limitation, but it's still kind of confusing in its own way. And then rank is their way of moving the order around, which rank should be status.
Yes, it should be. I didn't know that for the longest time. I was like, rank, I just looked at it and it says something, it just showed my two characters. And I was like, what does that mean? But yeah. Rank, they make it so like it's an inside joke. It's like you can't use abbreviations in a game nobody's ever played before. Because that's how you generally make games. You got to make games understanding that their audience has never played it before. So you can't use abbreviations unless you're playing like Final Fantasy 322.
Yeah.
Then yeah, I know, you know what freaking FD is, Fingers Down. Everybody knows that. Mm-hmm. But in a game nobody's ever played, you can't use this type of stuff because I had no idea. And to like, say I was in a menu and I was looking around on stuff and I want to go back to the menu before. Nah, they kick you completely out. Now they get back in and sift through everything you just did, which I forgot because everything's a freaking abbreviation that I don't know what it means.
That itself is its own battle system.
Counterintuitive. It's like, and it's a bad battle system. It wins every time. Every time it wins.
Yeah, but when I got to this town, it was the most interesting story because it was the most action I seen. But in this town was getting destroyed by lava, and it was eroding and everything like that. And that's when it started getting a little bit more interesting. Where like my goal is to help stop this lava, which is a funny story to it because like one is you have to go to the chief. And he doesn't care about the town anymore because he lost his son to the lava and whatnot. And he wants his piano player to play the song dedicated to him, but he won't play it because he thinks the song is terrible. So I had to go to this inn and found this couple, these dancers, and she was sick, so I had to go down to this well to go get this item for her. And these dancers went to the piano player to finally play the song and whatnot. And so before all that, I was wandering around in this well trying to figure out, like, okay, let me guess. I go in this well. There's probably a monster that's shooting the lava up or something like that, and it's not. And I got lost. And like I don't know what to do. So I went back and figured that all out. Actually, no lie, this is a game that I actually use a couple of guides because some of it was a little confusing. And when the chief finally decided to go with me, he went with me, and we find out there's a hole where this lava's coming out, and he used a bomb and closed it off. And then all the lava disappeared from the town.
What?
Yeah, that's it. Like, there's no big epic thing. And like, you know, I feel like I could have done that if you gave me bombs or something like that.
Throw a bomb at lava and it stops. Bombs plus bombs equals no bombs.
Right. It is stupid because the funny part about it is you see all these homes getting overcome by the lava and it all strength down, and like, you know, all these people show up and the houses are fine. I'm like, nothing got melted, huh? All right, cool. And the funny part too, Brian, was like I got offered to rob people, stuff.
What?
Yeah, I went into a house and they realized, hey, I found this capsule because these little capsules look like something from like Dragon Ball Z. These little capsules. I don't know if you saw these little capsule little like boxes with certain items in them. Yeah,
yes, how
yeah. They look like little like futuristic cup. They look totally out of place in this game, but
like everything else.
Yeah, but in the house, this one of my partners, I was like, should we steal that? And I was like, no, maybe I'll get a reward or something, or maybe that customer will know that I stole it somehow, because some NPCs just know that you look suspicious. You stole my shoes. So I was like, fine, I won't steal them. Maybe he'll give me something. Well, I got back to that shop, and like he was just working the shop, and I'm like, do you want to tell me what's in that capsule? It's like, nope. He blocked it up. I couldn't get to it. I was like, damn it. But I did my quick save, so I cheated a little bit and looked what's in there, and it wasn't worth it anyways. But the point is, I just wanted the option of like, look, I just saved your town. Give me whatever in the goddamn capsule. And so
pretty much.
But the cool part about it was there was a guy running the item shop, and he was telling me he was selling stuff at dirt cheap. Like one was like potions for like $2, and he's like, "We're going to out of business sale," because he knows like Lava's taking over. They like, "We're doing an out of business sale, so come get what you need and get on out." And the funny part is like, and towards the game, the lava went all the way up that only the inn and this bar was the only place, and he was in this bar. And I went up there, and he's like, "You know what, man? I lost my place. Here's a free item," and you can go to him every single time to get a free item during that whole time. So I went to grind a little bit, came back, he filled up all my items. We did that a couple times. That's the perfect place to grind. That's the perfect place to grind.
If you can make it that far.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Didn't. That's true. But like, just the fact I did that. Then what happened when I saved the town? I went back to the shop. He's like, $2. So I was like, damn it. I saved your life.
I saved the town. I should get free items for life. Right? I mean, something.
Look, I'm not going to come back this way. It's an RPG. I don't go backwards. I go forward. Okay. Just let me have this free time.
You go back. Now you do. At least I do. I go back to that first island I was on. And every RPG. Just to feel strong, and this is usually after some boss hands me my ass. Usually.
Yeah.
I got to go back and be like, okay, I can still one-shot people because I'm pretty strong. I feel good about myself. And then go fight him, and he beats me up. So that's why I go back to Old Island. But yeah, I get what you're saying. But then in this game, it's hard to go back to.
It is.
It's hard to just press start sometimes.
Yeah, it is tough only because the fact that the battle system is such a... It's a bad battle system, but at the same time, I never played a battle system where I really think about there's a consequence of my actions.
And that's the problem.
It's so weird.
Like I said, it's the whole you have to really you got strategy games where you really think about what you're gonna do, but this isn't a strategy game, and you have to really think what you're gonna do, because I mean you have to do a lot of math. You're like, okay, I will do this much damage, but I will take this much damage. Or I will do this much damage while using a spell and then take this much damage, but I still have to add all three of those together as if I take damage. I've never played an RPG where it feels like I use magic and take damage at the same time. It's like I'm hurting myself to use magic.
Yeah.
It should never be that way.
It hurts me more than it hurts you. That's basically what it is. And I think it would have been a little bit better if they balanced it a little bit more, where to the point where enemies got hurt too if they use magic in some sort of way. Maybe that would have been a bit more comfortable. But the fact that the enemies got really free range while you have to sit here with the most hardest decisions, that how you have to come at this game, and it's really about survival. You're leveling up to survive, to withstand your own blows. Now, if the game said that, if they said it straight up to you, other than the quote I said earlier, that maybe the boss that you unleash did something to you personally where you get hurt, I might have let it slide. I might have let it slide to like, okay, I get it. It sucks, but I get it. But that's a norm. That's the weird part of it. It's the norm. Anybody use magic, you get hurt doing it. Even young Duke got hurt using magic. And I'm like, not little fairy Duke.
Yeah, he did. He used break, I think his was.
Yeah.
Called. And yeah, that was... I mean, they really just need to balance it. Either it does less damage or the super strong magic does something. I mean, there's a way to do it, but they did not do it right. I mean, every RPG you almost ever play, you're going to take damage no matter what you do. If you're fighting two people, you're going to take damage.
Yeah.
So the fact that you have to take damage while dealing damage is stupid. It's now you're taking even more damage. So it doesn't work. I mean, you pretty much just level up to survive.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not like you can build a defense to how much the MP or HP it takes when you deal magic. I'm pretty sure it takes the same amount no matter what. So
and that's the funny part why I think they took away you actually having the power to heal yourself, because it's kind of pointless for this game's kind of style. Like, you hurt yourself to heal yourself more. That's why you have to use potions. That's the only way it makes sense for this game, per se.
Doesn't make sense to the fun factor.
Yeah, definitely. But for this idea that they have, you can see they definitely put themselves in a corner of a lot of ideas. Just the fact that, one, I never really got poison in the game, really. But there is anti stuff you can use, but I never really got poison in the game. I never really got dizzy. I never really got confused and hurt my own enemies or anything like that. It was more of like, who can withstand the fight the longest? When it comes to boss fights, it's like, can I live long enough to kill you more than can I beat you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a good one. That's actually really good.
Yeah.
Can I outlast you? I mean, there's some fights in RPGs that it actually came down to, can I outlast you? But for the most part, it's can I beat you? Versus can I outlast you? And yeah, that outlasting is pretty boring compared to, like, I've actually figured out how to beat them, so you can fight them again and you already got the strategy and you know what to do.
Right.
And it's good to go. Versus, if I try to show my friend this boss fight, I don't know if I'm going to be able to beat him. But I want to show my friend or whatever. It's like, how many times have you ever like, oh, let me show you how to beat this guy because I know you were struggling on a regular RPG versus this one? You'd be like, well, hopefully I beat him this time. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's not very fun to me, but whatever.
Is there anything else you want to add to the battle system or anything else that stood out to you?
It sucks.
Okay. So as we kind of go into progression now, but I already kind of told you my progression. I was level 17 when I finished up, and I told you my adventure that I got it. Brian got to only level 7, and I
did a lot more grinding than probably you did. But it.
Yeah. So with that, let's go into the grind. Now, we know that the people know on the show that right now that the HP does hurt you every time you use magic and whatnot. So how did you feel about the grind for yourself on that?
It basically came down to just using a bunch of potions. I waited till I got down to next to nothing within the reason of what I was fighting, because most things did roughly about 20, so I'd heal right at 30. Okay. So, and I was mostly by myself because it took me a while before I found Fritz. I was probably 3 hours in already before I even found him. So it was just me grinding by myself mostly.
So were you hesitant sometimes to go further when you grind?
Yeah, because that first time I ran out and I fought those 3 guys who 50 dead. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I was just kind of walking in a little bit circle because I knew I was going to fight as the pods and the little rat things. Mm-hmm. And there's usually just 2 of them or 1 of them. So that's why I was even able to do it, because if I was fighting 3 pods and then 2 rats or something, I'd have died way.
Yeah, because you really want to stay close to the town too. Like, I want to be close, so if I'm on the near edge of my seat, I need to get back in there, back at the village, and heal myself.
I actually started grinding in the tower. Like, after you come out of the tower, when you release whatever, I went back in there. And of course, that door
such a waste of time. I did that too.
The door is shut, but I mean, I've stayed in there and grinded for a little while.
Oh, it was such a waste of time. And even at that beginning, though, man, when you found out for the first time that it hurt you, you could not leave that place. I wanted to leave so bad. And I was like, damn it, we're locked in. Like, it's do or die. It's do or die. Like, I know I'm going to die, so the goal is to make it there before game over.
Yeah. But it took me a while to freaking even figure out how to heal myself.
Yes.
I was 50 minutes in the game before I figured that out.
Yeah.
I was like, it's so... I don't know. It's so cryptic on everything it does because of the abbreviations and all that stuff. Like I think you do attack. Like you had defend, run, spell, and attack. In order to get to your healing item, you have to go to attack first. What the hell is that about?
That is true.
That's why I never found it. I'm looking for items or something, not attack. And so it took me a good while before I figured out this. And then I went to it and I finally found it. It said use on Chesney. And I was like, I thought I was attacking him with it. What the hell? Okay, fine. So I used it and it gave me life back. I was like, and I just had facepalm because I was like, oh, I have died millions of times because I didn't know I could heal myself.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's one of these games you have to just try everything and just see what works and doesn't work. But it could have saved so much time if you just made it simple. The name that they have for the potion in the game should have just been called potions. Like, at least make that easy for us, or health something. If you're gonna abbreviate something, say health,
medicine,
P,
potion, herb,
or something. Yeah, like I appreciate that it's a simple task of of clicking your moves to what to do and all that stuff. But man, if you say no, you have to start over from the very beginning. You don't backtrack to like the last player that made the choices. You have to start all over again. And sometimes I have to second guess myself, like, ooh, maybe that was a good idea. I'm gonna go back because sometimes I accidentally heal the wrong person. Because when they do the who you want to heal, like I'll accidentally press the wrong button instead of highlighting. Are you sure? They don't give you "Are you sure" on that part.
No, they do not.
No, they're like boom.
Like I said, they kick you completely out of menu if you go back. They won't let you go back one step. They'll kick you completely out, and you have to start over. And that's really bad.
Most of my grind came after the fight where I hadn't used nothing but fire, and I realized that like, no, I got to get stronger. So I stayed at this house, and I stuck around the house for a while, and they were giving me HP. Right there, I leveled up 6 times really fast in that area. And it started getting a little bit easier. Doesn't mean like they still didn't take a chunk out of my HP, but I also noticed that like there was no other place to learn new spells. Like my girl was basically full of spells, and it sucks. And it sucks that it was a hard grind because she was useless to me. Like lightning did nothing for anything that I put in because it was a waste of a single attack. Like if it was a boss fight, lightning didn't do shit. Like, that's the only time single attacks really work for this game was, like, if you're going to a boss fight. With her, heal was pointless because I didn't know what I was healing. There was enemies shooting stuff at me for just special effects. Like, this one lizard creature shoot bubbles at me. I'm like, well, what the hell did this do? Like, is that supposed to scare me or something? And then I started noticing it started hurting me really bad. I was going from 40 to 60 hits. I'm like, what the hell? And that's where I was talking about the group thing. That's why when I grind, I try to grind at least having 4 things on the screen instead of like 8 of them on the screen. Because like, this is taking too long. I need to get this going because these fights are long as hell. They're very long as hell.
To me, they're just stressful. It's so freaking stressful.
Yes.
Like, I use magic and I'm just cringing the whole time. Like, it's hurting me. Like, physically hurting me on a video game.
But it's funny at the same time because like, when I do the fire, it's funny because the fact that fighting a boss that you're the only person that can beat it, and there's no scapegoat or another card to how to beat it. Like it's basically kind of breaks the game that if your main character dies, it's over for you. That's basically what it is because no one else knows fire. No one else has other weakness. No, it's not that particular boss has no other weaknesses. It's the fire dragon. And on top of that, with the grinding, the enemies are not cool at all. They're all ugly looking. They were boring to look at.
On the enemy design?
Yeah, they were just terrible looking. Like, look, if I'm going to grind, I at least want some enemies to look kind of cool to look at. But these enemies were just terrible. I saw a giant bird coming at me with a big ass belly. That looked terrible. The rat looks terrible. That rat looks like, should you be attacking? Yeah. You look like you're starving to death. But okay, you can keep going. There was a creature. He was just this little ball with a string on it. He looks like Metroid if he had like, I don't know, if he was sick. The Metroid itself. But when you hit him, he would grow bigger and bigger and bigger, and he would explode himself.
Oh, they completely stole that from Final Fantasy. That thing is called a bomb, I believe. It's a fire thing. Every time you hit it, it gets bigger, and then it does self-destruct and does massive damage.
And it's so funny because this game makes the weirdest noises. That one did like bzzz. It's so freaking funny the noises they put in this game, especially the trolls with the horns. Like they do, Chicha. It's so annoying.
I got to the point I just turned the volume almost all the way down. I was like, I don't even want to hear this no more. The music was music was ominous, but it wasn't great.
No. I liked the outside world music. I hated the cave music. I really did. It was not welcoming. It was really annoying. The battle music was nothing to be desired. No. It's very generic and whatever. It almost feels like that. Like I feel like everything was in a rush. I feel like that when they were making this game, they didn't have time to actually work in the magic system. They're like, fuck it. HP does it.
HP is MP. HP is MP. Look, you're an idiot for thinking otherwise.
I mean, come on. There has to be. I don't believe that their idea of the initial thing was something that they were prepared at the beginning. I feel it was a last minute thing. I feel like We don't have time to type the rest of this out. Because why? Because our box are not big enough, so we have to abbreviate everything. Just what's this? Don't figure it out.
That sounds about right. If it was rushed production, it'll make sense, and it'll explain a lot of stuff in this game because it feels it feels unfinished or like a very bad old school game. Because there's plenty of those where it's just bad design. Like some games are hard, and then other games are hard because of bad programming, or they're hard because of how the developer thought it should be, or something like that. And yeah, that's probably what it is.
Yeah. So with that, let's go right into review quotes. So, as you know, we go through just reading like kind of quick quotes of people reviewing this game and whatnot, and we just kind of just do a quick like, do we agree what they said at that time and whatnot?
That's mostly going to be hell no, but we'll see.
Right. And you can look these up on Wikipedia. This is our quick one here, but at the time, GamePro, the Wizard comment that the game feels rather stale. Its dialogue, story, transition, setting, and even the gameplay seems to have been done before. So everything except the battle system. There's no battle system have done like that. But I do say the dialogue, the transition, the setting has been done before.
Well, I don't know. The setting seems weird. Like it seems all the forest or whatever you want to call it looks like a bunch of lollipops or something.
It does.
It looks a little weird, but I agree with the story. Like you're the chosen one, and you unleash some certain evil. Now you got to go fix it. That's been done to death, way before. But yeah, the battle system. Oh no, that's not.
He also said he criticized the system wherein magic uses draw from your character's pool of hit points and found the characters in general underpower against game enemies, requiring tedious backtracking to ends and reloading the saves.
Oh yeah. I ain't never spoke a lot there.
Yeah.
Very much so. Because I was grinding. Oh, yeah. It was quickly. It was like 2 battles and I was back to an end.
You're right.
I grind in most games. I'm out there for freaking 30 minutes before I run back.
The reason why you kept going back to the end because you didn't know about the potions that you had all the time.
Exactly.
Because you would have been out there a little bit longer just healing yourself.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Some of them kind of beat me down.
Mike Wiegand from EGM or Electric Gaming Monthly, he said, for fans of Soul Blazer, this borrows the
perspective.
Yeah. But it isn't as interactive, plus combat isn't as direct. Fans of these kind of RPG games will probably be more than satisfied. I disagree with that. I think people that want to play a game that's challenging maybe will look into this game, but for fun factor, I disagree.
I don't know what he means. Like, I'm not sure what he means when he said he says it isn't as direct. What does he mean by that?
I really
I
don't
guess
know.
I gotta understand what Soul Blazer is, but he was like,
Soul Blazers is more. It's not really a traditional first person RPG style. It's more of like a Zelda like. You know, you're running around just slashing stuff. There's nothing in there.
Kind of action RPG.
Yeah, it's more action RPG. So I don't understand why he thinks that. It almost makes me feel like that. Did he really play?
Yeah, I guess that's what he means. And it's funny because he sounds like an audience of today. I'm sure when he did this, it was back in '93. Because most people today don't even understand how RPGs work. Like they don't even understand that JRPG was just RPG back in the day. Mm-hmm. Now they have to point out that it's a JRPG turn based, and it's pretty bad.
We'll do one more, and this is from Zach Nicholson. From the magazine Superplay. He comments that Paladin Quest is short and falls within the graphical limitations of the last generation NES, both things which he found particularly hard to accept given the cart above average size and accordingly above average price. He also describes that the controls are very awkward. He concludes the fanatic of JRPGs or Japanese RPGs would still find this game enjoyable due to the compelling and sometimes humorous story, but warns that it does not hold up well to JRPGs such as Secret of Mana. This game does look like it's like a prototype of It almost felt like it was a Nintendo game, but then it got ported to Super Nintendo. Because this game is very ugly. It's compared. Look, he's right. Because look at Secret Mana. Secret Mana and Chrono Trigger are beautiful looking. They're beautiful looking at. But this game here looks really, really old. It does look really old.
It has that Oni thing. Like I said, Oni came out on PS3, and it looked like a barely Super Nintendo game. I mean, it was pretty bad. And yeah, it's like a game that they developed for Nintendo and they just put it on the Super Nintendo. It did not really do any kind of upgrades to it. It's probably what happened.
And the fact that he also said that it's short makes I wonder, like, how close was I to ending this game then? Because it's like, how short are we talking about? Like 30 hours? Because the traditional JRPG is about 80 hours.
Well, now, I mean, how...
Well, what would we say, 60 then at the time?
Back then? So, no, how long was Final Fantasy VI on Super Nintendo?
I couldn't tell you. I never beat it. It has... average is 40. If you're anything bigger than that was considered super long. So I want to say 40 or 60.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of back in that was the third generation of games or game consoles. So I'm pretty sure they had to be shorter than because they couldn't have fit that much stuff on those little cards.
No, you're right. I think it's...
40 hours didn't come a norm until I want to say PlayStation 2 maybe.
Okay.
PlayStation 1 could, but that's when they had like 4 discs.
Well, you know how long a game is based on the battle system because you're battling so long. If the battles take a long time, most of the time the game might be a long time too. Like this game is weird, right? This game, the battle's long, but maybe the game is not that long. I mean, you're going to save the world. I guess maybe their world's not that big compared to Final Fantasy VI. I mean, Final Fantasy VI feels like a play. Like you're in the first act and the second act. This is not this game.
No.
There's a villain. This game, I forgot.
There's a guy.
I'm too busy surviving, Brian. I forgot there was a story. I forgot that I did stuff. I forgot that I'm the reason this happened. And my consequences take my life away.
And if a game can take you out of the story so much because of the battle system, again, it's a bad game.
Yeah, so...
Battle system is supposed to be like dressing on top of your salad. I mean, it's still a good salad, and you understand it's a salad, but it shouldn't be like blue cheese dressing where it takes over everything.
And I guess the question is, too, is even though Paladin Quest is not like the best-looking game, I wonder if the game could have been slightly, maybe a little better if it was graphically more beautiful. Even though the gameplay battle system still sucks, would the game still be a little bit better because at least the scenery is kind of cool?
Honestly, I don't think so. I've never been super huge on how well a game looks. I'm more about how well a game plays.
That's true, too. I'm just saying, like, I guess more like, if you play Chrono Trigger and Chrono Trigger looked like this,
I'd still probably like it.
You would still like it in that
because
way?
The story's better. You're more engaged in the battle system and stuff like that. I can care less about what it looks like.
I think I'm in the middle because like I like the game to still look kind of decent and also the gameplay to be good. Gameplay over graphics hands down. That's like number one for RPG games to me. But at the same time, if you're a terrible game, I would at least like some nice scenery if you're going to be a terrible game. I mean, there are some beautiful games out there, but they play terrible. But at least like it looked pretty.
The Order 18.
Yeah, like it looks pretty. At least it's something to look at.
But
like,
it is garbage can juice.
Yeah.
Oh.
I would say this because, trust me, I wish the rats look a little bit more beefier. They look like they're just...
They look like malnutrition rats. Like they ain't ate in 6 years.
Yeah. This game itself, like even Dragon Quest...
Look how generic freaking Chesney looks right there, though.
Oh, that's not... What are you talking about? No, those are enemies. You never see yourself.
Yeah, you do. They show you what they show. Well, no, I'm talking about right here.
Oh. Sorry. Right. Yeah, I know. Sorry.
Just generic.
Yeah. He's very, 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 very
like
generic.
The artist he should be ashamed of himself.
Yeah. It's not. I don't know, man. But let's go ahead and get ready to wrap this up with the last question for the listeners here.
Thank God.
This was fun. Recommendation. So, Brian, your final thoughts, and do you recommend this game?
My final thoughts is, like we've been saying earlier, I think it was a rushed production. A guy was trying to not do this basic set in stone way of doing the RPG, so he tried to introduce this whole HP thing, and that ended up really hurting the game. A good 75% screwed that up just with that because he doesn't understand that you lose HP every time you do a battle in nearly any RPG. So to make you lose HP regularly and on top lose HP for MP, I guess you'd call it, and the fact that it's not even like a little bit, it's a very noticeable amount. It's like actually taking another hit. So you're taking another hit when you're hitting somebody else, and that is a very bad design. And then the story is just kind of generic. The world looks like bad pastel colors. The story is blah. And then we go back to the battle system. Like you said, it takes you're surviving so much that you forget the story of the game. You forget what you're doing in the game. I mean, how do you like that? And then the abbreviations that are taking you out. It's like he made the game for everybody who was working on the game. Now, if you were working on the game, none of this would be hard, but you got to take into account your audience. We don't know anything about this game, so you should have made it to where it's easy for us to understand. You can't use abbreviations in the game unless we know what you're abbreviating, because I can abbreviate the word boot like 6 different freaking ways. I could just put a B. I could put a B in a period. I could put a B in a T. I could put a B, O, T, then a bunch of periods. But you don't know which one I'm talking about because you're not inside my head, so it doesn't make any sense. So I basically recommend you stay far the hell away from this game.
So on my final thoughts is we have a developer here that wanted to take a risk, and the problem is not so much the risk, is so much of the commitment and the whole common sense, or just learning just the steps of RPG, right? Because the fact that, like, look, if you're going to lean on this HP thing, then you got to make sure that there's a better balance to this game, even to the point where, like, if I'm going to lose HP, then you need to give me a better way to heal myself at all times. You need to give me a better chance of different magic. You should have let me have more of a choice matter instead of buying magic. You made this game more challenging, not for the fun factor, but just the fact that I made a challenging RPG game, and I wish that this developer thought about it a little bit longer, let it sit in the oven a little bit and whatnot. But like I said before, it does feel like it's rushed. I feel like it was just out here because until this time, I looked up about this game. This was never a game that crossed my mind in my lifetime. You know, this was probably in the tail end of the Super Nintendo, probably. I don't know. I haven't really looked it up all the way. But regardless, though, I had to look up bad RPG games, and this was one of them. And so, but just to break it all down, no, I wouldn't recommend this game either. Just the fact that it's, just like the battle system, I think it hurts you personally playing this game than playing the game, right? Oh yeah. Weird. It's weird to say because it's actually fascinating at the same time, because I think I'm happy that I played this game just for the fascination of I can tell the story of, have you ever played an RPG game like this before? It's a good conversation
starter. That's the whole reason to even play this game, is to be like, this is the bottom of the barrel, people.
Yeah, so it was an interesting idea, but I don't think he committed to it. I don't think he gave it enough time to let it flow into this. And there is some bad RPG games, but not bad. It's weird, right? Because like there is bad games, but the battle system is not the worst sometimes, but this one here took the cake for me on this one, So
this is definitely the worst one I've played. I played some bad ones.
Yeah, but who knows, man? There's a bunch of other bad RPG games we are definitely going to have to give a try and talk about on the show. But with that, I want to thank everybody for listening to this episode. This is our first recording / third episode. So probably when you hear the first episode, we're going to be like freaking amazing. Like, bam, we're going to get right into this. And then you hear this episode and you're like, oh, huh.
We'll play the game that I had a little more enthusiasm about.
Yeah,
I lost enthusiasm after the first title screen ran.
And it sucks too, because like, it's funny because for both of us, it was more of who can withstand this game longer, and I withstand this game longer. I tried really hard to try to get as far as I can to this game to have a decent episode, and you tried your hardest, but it just didn't work out for you in that way. And so, but we are part of the In-Game Boss program, Network of Gaming, other variety shows. So check out all our other great shows in the network. This show is a monthly podcast, so catch us each month while we talk about RPG games that we want to revisit or have never played before. There's plenty in the belt. So definitely check out all the other episodes that are out. And Brian, is there anything you want to say before I do all the rest of the plugs?
The other ones will be better than this one. Just because the game will be better than this, because I dare you to find a worse game than this.
Okay, so
now don't get too enthusiastic about it, but I dare you to.
Yeah. So this network's also on Facebook and Twitter, so definitely check it out. You can go to @ProgramIn on Twitter. You can find me personally as RetroAmp07. Brian, do you have a Twitter account?
I do, but I hardly use it, so there's no point.
All right. If you want to leave comments or thoughts or concerns or anything like that, you can always hit my Twitter up, or you can email me at theingameoffice@gmail.com. We would love to hear what RPG games that you haven't played, and you maybe is on our list, and we'll definitely play through that and give you some fun tips about it. Our goal basically is more of a personal podcast for us. We just want to play through RPG games and just have fun and talk about our experience in different ways. And hopefully you enjoyed some of the things that we talked about on this show and whatnot. And remember, all our shows are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Castbox, are all in the description down below and whatnot. But other than that, thank you for listening, and we will catch you on our next session in the Roll Base podcast.
Roll Base.
Roll Base.